Earthquake sound like? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. My first single that I'm working on right now to release is Earthquake in a Bottle. And I lived through the great Kobe earthquake in 1995. I was living in Japan at the time, and actually I was fortunate to live. I mean, 5,000 people died in that earthquake, and I was fairly close to the epicenter. I was living in what was called a culture house. Old apartment building, 2-story apartment building. Almost seemed like it was made out of bamboo. It was so lightly built. I was on the first floor. The walls were so thin. Most of those bunka houses, I think they were called. They were called culture houses because they were the first houses in Japan that had running water and toilets. So that gives you an idea how old they were. I mean, after World War II, maybe in the 50s, I'm not sure. So I was staying in one of those, and I was on the first floor, and a lot of those collapsed, and the second floor would have come down on me. I slept through the earthquake. It was pretty amazing, and I didn't realize how bad it was. And I went down to the train tracks to go to work, because I took the train to go to work. And I went down, and I looked down the train tracks, and about 100 yards down the track, the rails took a right turn. The earthquake had moved the ground, and I realized there's no way a train's coming through today. So I went back to my apartment and just played guitar all day. And I didn't even really realize, had no idea how bad it was till that night when I turned on the news and I saw the fires, because a lot of other places, the gas lines burst and there were fires, and a lot of people died in fires. Thank God they didn't happen in my area. But anyway, for at least 24 hours after that first earthquake, there were a lot of aftershocks. You could hear the aftershock before you would feel it, and it literally sounded like a train coming. I'm going to play you a sound effect that my producer put on my, trying to get into traffic here, and this guy doesn't want to let me in. So I'll just go ahead here, get into this one. There's an accident ahead of me. It sounded like a train coming. You could hear it, and then it would shake. This sound effect that's on my single is so cool. My producer Chubb came up with it, and it's literally what an earthquake sounds like, or the aftershocks anyway. I was sleeping when the first earthquake came and slept through it. I thought it was a dream. Furniture's crashing all over my apartment, and I didn't wake up till it was over. Good thing. I mean, people were pinned on a lot of armoires, wardrobes, where people would keep their clothes, and I had one, but it didn't tip over. If it tipped over on me, I mean, those things are heavy. Could have hurt you or killed you. So God wanted me to live and still be here 20-some years later, and so I did. A lot of people died. I didn't know anyone who passed, but I had friends who had friends and family who passed, Japanese people. It was a very tragic thing. It took a while for the Kobe, Osaka area to recover. So anyway, the sound of an earthquake, and I'm going to play a snippet for you right now. All right, I'm going to listen to the demo of my song, Work in Progress. Here you'll hear a part of what I say is the sound of an earthquake. And this is just a rough demo. So this is coming into the chorus. Here it is. It was kind of buried in the mix there, but it kind of sounds like a train coming. And that's the sound of an earthquake, or at least the aftershocks. Here it comes. That's, I think, the closest we could come to what the aftershock sounded like. And like I said, I slept during the main one, and it was a pretty big one. I think it was close to a 7 on the Richter scale. I don't remember exactly, but it was a big one. And it was kind of funny because it was almost 1 year to the day. Maybe it was 1 year to the day. Before that, there had been a big earthquake in LA in 1994. The Kobe one was 1995. There had been a big one in LA, and I think a couple hundred people died. And there was a contingent of Japanese engineers and civil engineers and whatnot that came and toured Los Angeles. And if you remember, if you lived through that era, the 90s, late 80s, early 90s were the era when the Japanese were taking over the world. their economy was growing so fast, and they're buying things like Rockefeller Center and Pebble Beach, and there was a lot of arrogance. Actually, I had been working for a Japanese company because I figured that better to join them, going to take over the world, and then I'll at least be working for one of their companies. So that's what I did when I lived in New York. There was a number of Japanese building professionals that came to LA and said that this will never happen in Japan because we have building codes and our buildings are designed to withstand. And God has a sense of humor, maybe, although it's so tragic. Well, it's not funny at all in one slight amount. But I think it was pretty close to exactly 1 year later, this humongous earthquake hit. And the thing about it is they were thinking Tokyo, because always they thought the big one's going to come to Tokyo, and probably they still are thinking. And Tokyo, of course, is about a 3-4 hour train ride from northwest of Osaka along the coast. Beautiful train ride. And there was not much focus of the area of Osaka. I don't think that they thought that if a big one came that it would end up in Osaka. They were thinking Tokyo, and I think they probably have, I don't know for sure, but they probably have a lot better building codes in Tokyo. And maybe there still would be a big one in Tokyo yet. In fact, we've had the tsunami, which is caused by an earthquake in the middle of the ocean. The tragic tsunami that happened, now that's 15 years ago. And then the radiation. There's been so many tragedies. I love Japan. Japan is one of my favorite countries in the world, besides my own country, USA, of course. Well, they're wonderful, sweet people, and my heart goes out to them. My heart breaks for all the tragedies that have natural tragedies, and then man-made, of course, the meltdown of the nuclear reactor. Those things happen in close succession. And then tsunami, radiated food, all kinds of tragedies. I haven't been back there. The last time I was in Japan, it was 2008. So I'm sure it's changed a lot. That's 11 years. 11 years is a lot in the 2000s. So I need to go back. My nephew and I were talking about going back next year for the Olympics. In fact, I think we're pretty serious about it. So he's never been, and he wants to go, and I'd love to go back with him. And maybe there'll be my brother-in-law, my sister might go, my other nephew. We'll see. I love Japan. I love the people. Had great memories there. Played in a blues band there. Had a Japanese girlfriend, beautiful young Japanese girlfriend. Didn't speak a word of English. My Japanese was pretty good then, and so we communicated in Japanese. So anyway, earthquake. What does an earthquake sound like? Back to that subject. And I played you a snippet of what my new single is going to sound like. I'm so excited about it. It's planning on releasing it maybe in July. Not sure yet, but we're going to do all the ramp up of the promotions and the pre-order, all of that sort of stuff. I got to lay down my harmony vocals still. I've laid down, I think, all the tracks except for my harmony vocals. So that's the only thing left that I need to lay down. Then Chubb's going to mix it. It'll have to be mastered, and it'll be ready to put out. And then we want to do the whole ramp up of the promotions and the public relations and all of that sort of thing. Probably going to have a release party, I believe, in July, tentative July 20th, but we haven't confirmed it yet. So be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Happy Friday, everyone. Be safe, and see you next time.